It's a new day, new card. We got good deeds, and it reads switch your meat dish for a veggie option. How can I say this in a way that's kind, polite, non invasive, non attackerish? But this one disappoints me a little bit because if you guys have been around for a while, some of you know how, I guess, particularly not particular I am about food. The only restrictions I have imposed on myself are pork and things like crustaceans and shellfish. A, for religious reasons, and B, because I feel like those don't sit very well. Do I miss eating pepperoni pizzas? Hell yeah. With sausage? Hell yeah. And the meat lovers? Hell yeah. But I didn't quit meat of that kind because I have some kind of moral superiority complex going on. And that's what I feel like the meat eating community versus the non meat eating community are at. And I think that when it comes to food, there's something that I feel people like to forget about, and that is what you inherit. I can't say that I did not inherit the way of eating that my great grandparents did and my grandparents did, because by the time that my mom got around to parenting, food processing just became the norm. Say, the convenience of canned things, boxed things. Therefore, my diet had some of that, a lot of that, I could say, for a while. And it wasn't until I became an adult that not only did my taste change to where I could tolerate new flavors, but I was also able to make decisions that are better for me because I'm not a single divorced parent. And I feel like my options as an individual making her own money now are a little more flexible when it comes to that. But for some people, we maintain the diets that we maintain because that's what we tend to inherit. So if you come from a culture in which being a pescatarian is what's valued, you can't just expect for this person to stop eating fish because you are out here caring about animals or concerned about the environmental impact. It's just the way people know how to stay alive and how to survive. And I guess that because of convenience of access, say we have products in America that never existed in this continent before, we're able to access that now. That doesn't mean that naturally that's what we would have been eating if we would have been out here without the intervention from other places. Say, if I remember correctly, the Spaniards, I think they brought horses for sure, cows and things like that. I don't think they were a thing around here. I guess meat eating, to oversimplify it, it should have stayed in Spain. Editing Zam here. I feel the need to express that the reason I'm picking that as an example is because I'm more familiar with European history than Native American history. But I am aware that Native Americans were hunting buffalo, but I know more about the history of eating beef. I'm more familiar personally eating beef, and my family, I'm more familiar with eating beef than bison. I didn't eat bison ever in my life until I want to say the year was 2016. That was my first try, my first introduction ever. So bison to me, because I'm not overly familiar with it, I don't want to choose it as an example to make my point because I wish to explain some of what has influenced me directly and personally. But I'm not trying to say that beef eating started with Europeans exclusively, because we have been eating meat since prehistory. But just so you know where I'm coming from with this specific, and that's why I felt compelled to say to oversimplify. I don't want you to think that I'm saying that meat in America wasn't a thing until the Spaniards brought their stuff. I'm just saying that
I'm more familiar personally with that side.
What if the Spaniards never figure that meat is something that I guess they can't eat or shouldn't be eating to align with your values of animal ethics? Life is set up in a way to where that's what you do. I guess humans could be considered an apex predator because we put ourselves in that position via our technology and the fact that we have this. If we didn't have this, life would be a whole lot different. So, because we had that little bit of an evolutionary advantage, I feel like we are experiencing a disconnect because of the sturdier shelters we have built and how easy we make food access now. What I'm trying to convey is that we need nutrients that animals provide. I didn't choose that. And I don't think it's fair for you to condemn somebody who has a diet, let's say, rich in animal product, because that's just the way they know how to nourish their bodies. The ideal thing is to have a varied diet, right? But I think that having this push for not eating meat in the name of morality is kind of wrong. And I guess that there are some benefits to reducing your meat consumption, or I guess eating just once a week or maybe once a month in some cases is beneficial for some folks, but to outright completely eliminate it, I truly don't see the need for that. Even if it's proven that meat is one of the most harmful things you can consume, it is proven that if you eat meat, it helps you stay alive because it has nutrients, it has protein. You're telling me that I have to sacrifice my survival if I were out there in the wild. I gotta not think like that. I gotta think all I can consume are non poisonous berries or leafy greens, but I better not touch an animal. But fuck me, the animal can have me. I eat for survival, and I happen to eat meat because not only do I feel good after I eat it, I feel pretty well, but I also genuinely enjoy the satisfaction of how you can artistically mess with food to make it suitable and appealing for your taste. So not only am I eating for nourishment, but the act of eating is an act of pleasure, an act of enjoyment. You are mitigating a discomfort known as hunger. So I think that you telling me that if I'm out there and I have the skill to take down an animal, I can't do that to ensure my survival because ethics and morals. But that animal that cannot reason like we can has a complete right to take me down, and I don't have a right to fight for my life. I'm not sure if I'm doing a good job at projecting this, but what I'm trying to say is I think we are disconnected from where our food comes from, and the fact that we too, if the circumstances are proper, could turn into food. And when you put it like that, I feel like you're telling me that I don't have a right to attempt to fight back at an apex predator level bird or a bear or some other land roaming animal because I can't hurt them, because it's immoral and unethical. Even though those beasts, because they don't think civilly like we do, won't hesitate to feast on me. Does that make sense to you? I think that only a person in a privileged position can be making the demand of limiting their diet to just plant-based things and eliminating animal product. But if you get hungry enough and you're isolated enough and desperate enough, there's no telling what you would be willing to do for food. So I don't think that you would be as picky if you didn't have this society built the way it is backing you up. Built the way it is backing you up. That's what I'm saying. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to continue to eat meat normally. And if I were to get some bad news as a result of it, oh well, I picked my poison. But what can I say? I don't think it's right for you to try to invalidate and eliminate my experience as a human being and the customs and traditions that I inherited from my family's culinary habits and then tell me that that's wrong, when that's the thing that had sustained my ancestors for God knows how long. I hope that makes sense. Well, there you guys have it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you soon.